Paddy Pimblett, Tony Ferguson, UFC 296 as per Dana White. This is an embarrassment of an announcement. I can't wrap my head around it. I've tried. It doesn't make sense in any way, shape or form. If this doesn't expose the UFC for underhanded tactics, they're trying to protect their boy. That's basically what they're doing. Tony Ferguson's coming off 5 or 6 losses. Paddy Pimblett had that abysmal display against Jared Gordon. I'm not even going to play the game of he was injured in the first round, so we need to give him respect. Maybe if he had come out right after the match, held up his hands and said, listen, shocking performance. I was injured. I really apologize. Like, you know what I mean? I really did my best to hang in there, but I was injured. My foot was broken. Then you would be of the mind that, okay, I'll give you a little bit of leeway. He didn't. He came out there with that stupid fucking face, making these stupid noises, was stuffing a pizza down his throat saying, I won that fight all 3 rounds. I thought I looked unbelievable. Anyone who says different is an idiot and doesn't understand the sport and are probably casuals. So I've got no respect for him or his injury or his face. Simple as that. I would love to see Tony Ferguson piece this guy up, but you know that he's been given to Paddy Pimblett as a nice easy way back in. That's what they're thinking. This is his big step up. This is the Ian Gary versus Neil Magny type of thing, except for Tony Ferguson, as I said, has lost his last 5 or 6 fights. Of course, it goes without saying that everyone's going to be behind Tony Ferguson in this fight. One, because he's a legend of the game. He's got such a personality. He's got such a huge energy within the MMA community. This dude is legit. Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, as I said many a time, the biggest fall from grace that I've ever seen after that Jared Gordon and that disgusting behaviour in the face of what was essentially a battering. In Tony Ferguson's last fight, we saw him out against Bobby Green. He actually rocked and wobbled Bobby Green in the first round. People were shocked. You're thinking, wow. We saw him rock and actually wobble Michael Chandler in the first round of that fight. Now we know that Chandler went out there, head kick, boom, knocked him out, and then Bobby Green submitted him in the final minutes of that 3-rounder. But they're encouraging signs in terms of fighting Paddy Pimblett, whose chin is 16 feet up in the air like a giraffe, and the dude is just obnoxious. Not only is he easy to hit, you want to hit this dude even more than every other fighter on the roster. In my opinion, what way does this fight go? It's hard to say. Paddy Pimblett is absolutely shit. Like, he's absolutely trash. If it's a grappling match, maybe, but we know that Tony's good on the ground, you know, he's very hard to hold down. Tony's wiry enough down there, you know, he's got a lot of moves. There's obviously going to be 20-25 Imanari rolls attempted. As bad as this matchup is, and as much as we don't want to see it happening, I think this should be a win for Paddy Pimblett. So what does that do for the organization? It does nothing for Paddy Pimblett, just a little pat on the head and it's like, okay, welcome back after a year and a half of an injury. You got called out a bunch of times by Chael Sonnen, you got your nose out of joint, you started spitting out names left, right and centre. How about I give you an alternative 3 fights that you could have had, that we could have had as supporters of the sport, as fans of the sport, that would have been way more entertaining, logical and fair. I guess coming in there at number 3 we have Bobby Green. Would have been a more logical fight to make. He beat Tony Ferguson, he won his last bout. Paddy Pimblett won his last bout, and that would have made sense. How would that fight play out? A little bit of tenacity from Paddy Pimblett could have taken that to the ground. If he tried to stay on the feet, he would have gotten absolutely pieced up by Bobby Green. I think that would have been an easy win, but a very fair fight to make in terms of this lightweight division and the progression of Paddy Pimblett's career, instead of handing him favour after favour. The number 2 more logical fight to make could have been Dan Hooker. You know, Dan Hooker had that great fight against Jalen Turner. His arm is repaired. I saw it on social media. He's ready to go again. He's had his face blasted in a couple of times. Michael Chandler, Arnold Allen, the list goes on and on there. I think that would have been a decent fight. Him versus Pimblett, who wins it? Dan Hooker absolutely sparks him out of it, 100%. Coming in at number 3 for the best potential fight that I would have loved to have seen, it's my boy Renato Moicano. This dude would have obliterated him. This was a perfectly logical fight to make. I would have loved to have seen this. It would have given Moicano a decent name in terms of Paddy Pimblett to go in there and show his skills with. His last fight was an absolutely brilliant fight. The dude is legit. His YouTube channel is great. I love that dude. I would have loved to have seen him getting a big profile fight like the Paddy Pimblett fight, and we know what way that would have gone. It would have been absolutely torturous for Paddy Pimblett. He would have gotten pucked all over the octagon, and you would love to see it. All these 3 fights make sense. All these 3 fights are completely more logical than Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett. In terms of just being an enjoyable fight, yes, it might be that, but regardless of everything that we have said right here, this fight is an insult to UFC and MMA fans. It's an insult to Tony Ferguson. And as for Paddy Pimblett, I don't know how he's feeling today. I don't know how he's going to come out and have all this bravado about this fight. If he was embarrassed after getting his ass whooped by Jared Gordon, picture how embarrassing it is waking up today knowing that I'm fighting a guy who just lost 6 in a row, who's completely finished, who everyone out there thinks should retire, and I'm after getting handed this fight for my comeback fight after talking a load of trash about Favola, about Dan Hooker, about all these guys. Even Paul Felder could have slid in there and pucked them out off him. I would have loved to have seen that as well. An absolute shambles of a bout. Doesn't make any bit of sense, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know your thoughts down below. Cheers.